Hello and welcome to Business Incorporated, coming to you live from our studios in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Edidiong Iwang. On the show today, Nigeria's inflation rises by 0.16% to 11.44% in December. But President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa is optimistic on the economy ahead of Davos gathering. Plus, the International Air Transport Association launches new data tool to avoid turbulence. We begin with Nigeria's inflation numbers just released by the National Bureau of Statistics, where the data shows December inflation increased to 11.44%, and that's 0.16% higher than the rate recorded in November 2018. On a month-on-month basis, the headline inflation increased to 0.74%, up 0.06% from the rate recorded in November 2018. The composite food index rose 13.56% year-on-year, from 13.30% recorded in November 2018. The urban inflation went up to 11.73% year-on-year from 11.61%, while the rural inflation increased 11.18% from 10.99% in November 2018. And to the markets, the Nigerian stock rallied heavily at intraday despite the disappointing inflation numbers. The benchmark index was up 1.28% at noon, and positive sentiment also trailed other markets we track on the show. The South African JSE index was up 0.7%, while the EGX 30 index was also in the green. Kenya closed positive on Tuesday. In the Middle East, mixed sentiment was observed at intraday, with Saudi Arabia rising 0.70%, with top petrochemical producer Saudi Basic adding 1.2%, and Al Rajhi Bank increasing 0.5%. In Dubai, the index gained 0.41% after 3 straight sessions of losses. The Abu Dhabi index, on the other hand, was down marginally by 0.02%. Qatar's index was flat, with Qatar Gas Transport increasing 2.8%. In Europe, markets opened higher, with participants addressing their options after British lawmakers voted against Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit deal by a crushing margin. Now let's bring in Daniel Coop to tell us what the sentiment is like the morning after. Hello, Daniel. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
I hope you are very doing well. Let's get it started.
Yes, I am. Thank you. Well, that was a huge defeat for Prime Minister Theresa May in Parliament yesterday. Now, how are the markets in Europe digesting the latest developments, and what can you tell us about the stock market and also the currency market?
Yeah, it's actually quite surprising because the markets here in Europe did not really react too impressed. Some investors were fearing that we might see a roller coaster here happening at the European markets, but that was not the case. When you take a look at the graph behind me, the blue chip index DAX quite flat actually right now. We don't really see a big market movement. When we take a look over to the United Kingdom, there the FTSE 100, the main index there, just slightly down with about 0.3%. The pound, yeah, the pound has been struggling, but also we don't see any big dramatic movement there. Well, why is that happening? Well, investors always try to get the news that they were expecting. And when we talk about the vote yesterday in the British Parliament, investors were very sure that we would see this scenario, maybe not as bad as it at the end was, but that Theresa May would not get this deal through her Parliament. Investors, of course, now are reluctant. They want to know what's going to happen tonight when she will be facing this non-confidence vote there in the Parliament again. But also we do believe that most likely she will survive this once again. Investors now are also closely listening, of course, to every sign that we're getting from the European Union. We had the German Chancellor Angela Merkel stating a little bit earlier that there is still time to talk. We have to remember that the United Kingdom is set to leave the bloc by the end of March. So what could Angela Merkel mean with this? Is she only talking about an extension of Article 50 so that the UK could possibly leave at a later date? We also had a statement there a little bit earlier from the German Justice Minister. She stated, yes, that this could be a possible scenario, but that there would really need to be a reason for it. So possible a new referendum, a new election taking place there in the United Kingdom. So it's going to be very interesting how all of this is going to unfold, but I can tell you from the market perspective that, of course, investors are nervous. The fear is still there that at the end we could see a uncontrolled hard Brexit. Of course, nobody wants this, but I guess there's also this hope that maybe at the end we won't even see a Brexit happening, and this would be the scenario mostly appreciated by investors.
Okay, so what's the most likely scenario right now if May survives the vote of no confidence? A hard Brexit, a new referendum, or continued negotiations?
It's just so difficult to say. I guess when we're really listening to what also the European Union says, I think they will be open to speak again to Theresa May. I personally don't believe that they will make any big concessions. I guess what's most likely going to happen that it is almost for sure that Brexit won't happen by the end of March. I don't think this is going to be the case. I also personally don't think that this is going to be a hard Brexit at the end, because this clearly nobody wants. The European Union doesn't want a hard Brexit. The business world doesn't want a hard Brexit, and certainly also not Theresa May and also not the Labour Party there. So there has to be some sort of agreement, but really it's so difficult to say what is really going to happen.
So Daniel, before I let you go, the UK wants to leave the EU, but the British legislature has rejected the negotiated terms of departure. Where does this leave Brussels?
Well, it's really giving Brussels a very difficult time at the moment, because, as I said, I think they are not in the position, or they simply don't want to make more concessions. I mean, we have to remember, they have been talking about this deal now for more than 2 years. And when we are listening also very closely today to politicians, they are saying, okay, we understand now that the British Parliament does not want this to go through Parliament, that they don't agree with the solution, but everybody is asking, well, what do they really want? What needs to be done that they would accept in Parliament, this Brexit vote? And of course, many more people are also criticizing now Theresa May. Many have been already calling that, that it might be the time for her to step down, but it seems that her party simply also doesn't have anybody really to replace her. So it's such a difficult situation, I guess, for both sides at the moment. Let's see what is going to happen. We'll be talking about that certainly in the next days.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the program today, Daniel.